Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Holistic Health and Fitness Quest. My name is Anneke. So today it's a bit of a weird one. I'm doing this live on Facebook and I'm recording it for other social media. So I'll be looking at my phone, I'll be looking at the camera, and I'll be looking down to read a book. Because one of the things I would like to address today is how come there's so much unfairness in the world. Economic unfairness. It seems as if the system is rigged against the common people, as if it is set up. The deck is stacked against them. And this weekend I read a book, and it is still studied. It's still one of the masterworks. It's very old, but it gives you a kind of insight in how the people who own things think. The book is Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. And I will read the back of this book. Adam Smith, 1723 till 1790, was one of the brightest stars of the 18th century Scottish Enlightenment. An inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations was his most important book. First published in London in March 1776, it had been eagerly anticipated by Smith's contemporaries and became an immediate bestseller. That edition sold out quickly and others followed. Today, Smith's Wealth of Nations rightfully claims a place in the Western intellectual canon. It is the first book of modern political economy and still provides the foundation for the study of that discipline. But it is much more than that. Along with important discussions of economics and the political theory, Smith mixed plain common sense with large measures of history, philosophy, psychology, sociology, and much else. Few texts remind us so clearly that the Enlightenment was very much a lived experience, a concern with improving the human condition in practical ways for real people. A masterpiece by any measure, Wealth of Nations remains a classic of world literature to be usefully enjoyed by readers today. So far, so good. The back of this book. And I didn't read the entire book. It's very, very thick. It's more of a doorstop. But when I went through this book over the weekend, my eye fell on chapter 11 of The Rent of Land. I admit, I haven't read the entire book. I haven't studied the entire book. So if the back tells us that that he had a concern of improving the human condition in practical ways for real people, I might have missed something, but it will at least give you the way of thinking in 1776, which is a long time ago, of how economics work and how certain groups of societies were thinking about other groups of societies, of the society at the time. So if your question at this moment in time is, it seems to be that there's a lot of economic unfairness in the world. Is that the case? What is it based on? your answer might be found in this book. I'm going to lift just a tip of the veil. I will put it out in the membership group, Holistic Health and Fitness Quest. And if people want to discuss it more and if they want to dive deeper into this, I'm up for it. And I will gather more information from different sources and see if we can get to an even clearer understanding and an even more complete picture of it all. So, in short, I will read you a little piece from Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith, 1776. Of the rent of land. Rent, considered as the price paid for the use of land, is naturally the highest which the tenant can afford to pay in the actual circumstances of the land. In adjusting the terms of the lease, the landlord endeavours to leave him no greater share of the produce than what is sufficient to keep up the stock from which he furnished the seed, pays the labour, and purchases and maintains the cattle and other instruments of husbandry, together with the ordinary profits of farming stock in the neighbourhood. This is evidently the smallest share with which the tenant can content himself without being a loser, and the landlord seldom means to leave him any more. Whatever part of the produce, or what is the same thing, whatever part of its price, is over and above his share, he naturally endeavours to reserve for himself as the rent of his land, which is evidently the highest the tenant can afford to pay in the actual circumstances of the land. Sometimes, indeed, the liberality, I don't know how to pronounce that, more frequently the ignorance of the landlord makes him accept of somewhat less than this portion, and sometimes though more rarely, the ignorance of the tenant makes him undertake to pay somewhat more, or to content himself with somewhat less than the ordinary profit of farming stock in the neighbourhood. This portion, however, may still be considered as the natural rent of land, or the rent at which it is naturally meant that the land should, for the most part, be let. And he goes on to say that if the tenant improves the land, the price for the land increases, as if it was done by the landlord. And this was Scotland, Great Britain, and I think it's just, sure, it was then 1776, but somehow that still is the case, and Adam Smith is still being studied. And for people who study something, people who see something for the first time, they kind of take that as the standard. And yes, they may study more and come to different conclusions, yet the standard is where they start their reasoning from. And I find this scary in a way. There's no way for the tenant to advance himself or herself. Just no way. Because whatever he or she does to improve his or her life, it's the landlord who walks away with the profit. And I think it's wrong. Now, of course, I'm a product of my time, and I'm a product of where I'm born and raised. So I'm born and raised in the Netherlands in a time where I'm pretty sure people in America would say, oh, it's a socialist nation, and look down on it. I think at the time the Netherlands was very equal. There were opportunities for everyone if you wanted to take them, and if you didn't want to take them, that's fine. If you made other choices in your life, that's fine. At the same time, there were provisions being made for people who really could not earn a living. They were ill or disabled or in between jobs or something like that. There would be provisions for those people. And the elderly and children and hospitals, roads, schools, all the rest of it, it was all taken care of. Taxes were, it's difficult to say now. Taxes may have been reasonable, I don't know, depending on your point of view. But the point compared to this book is that there was a way to advance yourself if you chose to do so. And based on this book, with this kind of insight in the world, there was no way to advance yourself. And of course, 1776, I don't know Adam Smith, as in I know of him, but I haven't studied his background. I think you can safely assume that his background is more or less upper class, otherwise you wouldn't be able to study all the things he's studied, you know, history, philosophy, psychology, sociology, and economics. Because the rest of humanity didn't have time for that, because they would be working to pay the rent. They were being kept busy. Sorry, that's a message on the phone. So they were being kept busy, so there was no time for them to study. And if there was time for them to study, it would only be in small portions, if they could read and write at all. So it's kind of safe to say that Adam Smith, even though I don't know them, so I might be proven wrong, came from at least upper middle class, if not upper class surroundings, to be able to study all this, which very much influenced his point of view. Let's put it that way. So if you're from that layer of society, you will view society through that lens, and you will find that normal. Whilst the majority of people who are on the other side of the equation think that where they are is normal, and they may not always agree with it, but there's very little they can do about it, because, you know, how do you advance yourself if you're being kept busy paying rent, or, you know, tithes, whatever you call them. So if you think that there is an economic unfairness in the world, it already existed in 1776. It was the norm in 1776. I'm sure it existed before that time, because he studied it, and it's been something that has been building up. I don't know for how long. I haven't studied it in depth yet. It's just that I came across this book, and this is what it said in that particular chapter. I did read a bit further through the chapter to see if there were, because it says he was concerned with improving the human condition in practical ways for real people. I haven't come across it yet. What I consider to be real people, and as I said, I might have to study it further, which I'm happy to do in the membership group if there are people who are interested in this and want to dive into it. So, what's the membership group? The membership group is called Holistic Health and Fitness Quest. There will be weekly exercises, musings, ideas being floated for you to try out for a week. And then by the end of the week, there's a Q&A, so you can ask questions. It runs on Discord, so you can communicate with each other to talk about whatever your findings are. Since it is holistic, I will aim to link things with each other so you can see what the influence of one is on other areas of your life, whether that be health or fitness or weighing on your mind, or it's all connected. What was I going to say? So yes, we're doing something every week, and then we will revisit it over time just to see how far you've come, and to view things from a different angle again. So who's this membership group for? It is for people who are wondering about their own health and fitness and want to view that in a wider perspective. I mean, this time I'm talking about Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. It's how to put that? Am I going to solve all the socioeconomic problems in the world? No, I don't think so. I might, but I highly doubt it, because I'm not a political kind of person. Politics is not my thing. I'm not PC at all. But I do want to encourage people to see things in a broader perspective. I do encourage people to link various things together, and I think that over the past 2 years specifically, people have been kept busy with all sorts of stuff that jumping through hoops, creating new rules, taking away of human rights and all the rest of it. And I think it is important to arm yourself with knowledge in each and every area of your life, which also means that at times in the membership group we will be discussing bigger subjects like the socio-economic status of the world and where it comes from, where it's going to, who's in charge, why are they in charge, should they be in charge or not. And I realize that this goes across the political spectrum, and I do aim for people to stay nice human beings whilst carrying out discussions, and to be open to listen to the other side, because quite often on the other side of the argument are good points too, whichever side that may be. And yeah, it's one of the things in the membership group to expand people's awareness. Is this an immediate pain point for you? Is this is this, I need to know the answer to this right now, otherwise I can't sleep tonight? Most probably not, especially not if you've got trouble keeping a roof over your head or food on the table. And believe me, I'm there with the roof over my head. It's being nibbled at. So is this an immediate thing to be resolved? No, not immediately. And it is the basis on which, at least in Great Britain, everything is built. And whichever way you argue it, whichever side of the political spectrum you are, you have to admit that during the past 2 years, an awful lot of taxpayers' money has gone into projects that were carried out by people who had no knowledge of the subject, but their redeeming feature was that they were connected with the people in charge. So the money stayed in a certain area of society, or stayed, the money moved from the taxpayers to a certain layer of society, shall we put it that way. Now, if you exist in that layer of society, you may think it's the bee's knees, and yeah, who can argue with that, with an awful lot of money coming in? For the rest of the people, I think they might have something to say about that, and it baffles me why the British people just take this. Why? I cannot understand. I've been asking a couple of people, where is the point? At which point do British people revolt in some shape or form, other than a strongly worded letter? And what that revolt would look like, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I will be surprised if that's ever going to happen. I would look at it, in surprise and go, what's going on there? The people who have asked had no idea either. I don't know. I honestly don't know why. Anyway, it's one of the things we can discuss in a membership group. So if you want to be part of that membership group at this moment in time, it's for founding members. So the founders of the membership group, it will be not that many people. So if you go to the Q&A once a week, chances are that your questions will be answered, or at least will be discussed. You'll have a say in what's happening in the membership group initially, until it grows. When does the founder member stage stop? The founder member stage will stop the moment I have actually found a house, moved house, and settled in. And when I'm ready to really work on the more refined aspects of the membership group. Up till then, it will be weekly lessons, weekly Q&A, and more connection between the members and me, and more chance of your questions being answered or discussed. And also the setup of the whole membership group, which topics, and is there going to be a separate book club or book discussion, or whatever it is you want, as long as it's got something to do with holistic health and fitness. So, Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. By all means, go and read it. It's interesting stuff. It really is interesting stuff. And yeah, it's not something you do on a lazy Saturday afternoon. It's way too thick for that. It's 974 pages. So yeah, it's a lot. It's dense. It's a bit old-fashioned, the writing. As you can imagine, 1776 is a while ago. But well worth it. With that being said, I wish you all the best. I hope this was useful for you, and I hope to see you in the membership group. Go to holistichealthandfitness.quest. Thank you very much, and talk to you later. Okay, bye bye.